Funnily enough, working on an album, finishing the album, doing the rehearsals, doing all the promotional stuff that you do, is harder work than doing the touring.
David Gilmour is a famous English singer, musician, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, record producer, guitarist, film score composer, and music programmer. This successful guitarist is best known as the guitarist as well as co-lead guitarist for Pink Floyd. This band is among the most commercially successful bands in history. David became the new leader of Pink Floyd after Roger Waters left. The musician has also enjoyed a successful solo career, and Rolling Stone ranks him among the top 50 guitarists of all time. David has produced a variety of artists, including the Dream Academy, and has released 4 solo albums. Back in 1996, David was inducted into the U.S. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a part of Pink Floyd. He's also been made a Commander of the Order of the British Empire and inducted into the UK Music Hall of Fame.
Everything is settled, and you just have to get on the stage and do the thing that hopefully you can do reasonably well. It's actually easier, but...
If you enjoy these videos, please remember to hit the like button, as it does help us out a lot. And comment below who your favorite celebrity is that you'd love to see in an upcoming video. His full name is David John Gilmour, but is also known as Dave Gilmour. He was born March 6, 1946 in Cambridge, England, making him 74 at the time of this production. He stands at 6 feet tall, or 1.83 meters. The color of David's eyes is blue. His hair is light brown. The musician weighs approximately 87 kilograms, or 173 pounds, and his star sign is Pisces. The hobbies of this musician include collecting guitars and vintage aircraft, flying airplanes, and car racing. This singer has emerged as a philanthropist who's passionate about several issues, including homelessness and climate change. He's supported several charities such as European Union Mental Health and Illness Association, Oxfam, Amnesty International, Greenpeace, the Lung Foundation, Teenage Cancer Trust, Nordhoff Robbins Music Therapy, and PETA. David is popular for his extensive collection of guitars, and it was reported at one point that he owns more than 100 guitars. He's also an experienced pilot as well as an aviation enthusiast. Discussing the religious beliefs of David, he's an atheist and doesn't believe in an afterlife. In 2009, Anglia Ruskin University awarded him an honorary doctorate, and Gilmour has also helped Kate Bush to launch her career. In 2011, David's adopted son Charlie was jailed for violent disorder during student fees demonstrations. On July 7, 1975, David married an American-born artist and model, Virginia Hassenbein. They had 4 children together, including Alice, Claire, Sarah, and Matthew. Later, in 1994, the guitarist married Polly Sampson, a writer. The couple has 3 children together, and David also adopted a son named Charlie. Charlie was born to Heathcote Williams and Sampson in 1989. Their first child, Joe, was born in 1995. Then Gabriel was born in 1997. In 2002, Sampson gave birth to their 3rd child, Romany.
But she writes the lyrics, does she?
She's written most of the lyrics on this, and has in fact written most of the lyrics on my last album in 2006 and on the Pink Floyd's last album, The End.
David was born to Douglas Gilmour and Sylvia. His father was a senior lecturer in zoology at the University of Cambridge, while Sylvia was trained as a teacher. Later, David's mother worked as a film editor for the BBC, while the family was in Trumpington, Cambridgeshire, when David was born. The family moved to Grantchester in 1956. David's parents encouraged him to pursue his interest in music. Back in the year 1954, Gilmour bought his first single, Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley. Later, David borrowed a guitar from a neighbor, which he never returned. He started teaching himself to play guitar. When he was 11, David attended Perse School in Hills Road in Cambridge. At this school, Gilmour met Syd Barrett, future guitarist of Pink Floyd. He also met Roger Waters at that time, who was studying at Cambridgeshire High School for boys. Then in 1962, Gilmour started studying A-level modern languages in the Cambridgeshire College of Arts and Technology. While he did not finish this course, David learned to speak fluent French. In 1962, David joined the blues rock band called Joker's Wild, and the band recorded a one-sided album as well as a single at Regent Sound Studio. However, only 50 copies of this album and single were made. Then in 1965, he bussed around Spain and France with some friends, including Barrett, performing songs by the Beatles. The group of friends was also arrested at one time. Later, Barrett and Gilmour trekked to Paris. At that time, David also worked as the assistant and driver of Ossie Clark, a fashion designer. During the mid-1970s, David traveled to France with Willie Wilson and Rick Willis. They first formed the band Flowers and then Bullet. However, they were not commercially successful. Unfortunately, David's equipment was stolen while he was touring France. The struggling musician returned to London. Barrett's mental condition was beginning to deteriorate, and he didn't even recognize his close friend David. Although the initial plan was that David would play the guitar for Barrett, however, the erratic behavior of Barrett became too much for Pink Floyd's members to bear, and David eventually replaced Barrett. Now Pink Floyd was becoming famous, and it became a commercially successful band with albums like Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Dark Side of the Moon, and The Final Cut. Later, David released his first album, which was a huge success. Since then, David has released many successful solo albums, and in 1985, Roger Waters left Pink Floyd, and David became the leader of the band. After Waters left, Pink Floyd released the album titled The Division Bell in 1994. All of David's 4 solo studio albums have charted in the United States Top 40, and between 2001 and 2002, the guitarist performed 6 acoustic solo concerts in Paris and London. Since April of this year, he's appeared in a series of live streams along with his family, performing songs by Leonard Cohen and Barrett.
You've got the David Gilmour team around you now.
Yes.
It's not Pink Floyd. How different does it feel?
It's not that different. I can be more of a despot, which is always fun.
David has mainly earned his net worth from music. From 1988 to 1999, David's companies David Gilmour Overseas and David Gilmour Music earned him $36 million. And from 2009 to 2010, both of these companies had a total of $5.7 million in assets. Pink Floyd has sold more than 250 million copies of albums across the globe, earning around $260 million. And in 2006, the famous singer made more than $1 million from an album called On an Island. He also owned a company called Intrepid Aviation, which specializes in the collection of antique aircraft. Later, David sold this company for an undisclosed fee. Last year, this guitarist auctioned off some of his guitars, earning $21.5 million. And the singer donated all proceeds from this auction to climate change charities. The total net worth of this musician is $180 million. David, along with his family, live on a farm near Wisborough Green in Sussex. He also owns a recording studio houseboat called Astoria near Hampton Court. David owned a house in West London, which he sold for $4.5 million in 2002. He bought this property 20 years prior for £300,000. Being a great philanthropist, David donated all this money to a charity that supported homeless people. Then in 2014, David listed his mansion in Greece for $1.5 million. This home covered 5,000 square feet. Next year, he acquired a derelict property in the town of Hove, East Essex, and submitted development proposals. Moreover, it was once reported that David paid more than £90,000 for a garage to store his collection of Ferraris. David Gilmour likely owns the following cars: 1988 Ferrari F40, a Ferrari 196S, a Cadillac Escalade, an Audi, a Porsche 911.